Hmm. Bro. Bro. Rue? Hi, where are you? Oh, was it hot in there? Did you open all the windows and stuff? No, you're supposed to open them up all the way around so air can get in there. Okay, if y'all go to the store, let me know. All right. I'm live too. Everybody. Welcome to Can Angels Fly, Tarot and More. My name is Nancy, and I'm just here having a live study session. Um, what I'm studying or decoding is the chart, astrological chart you see on the screen. Please like, share, and if you haven't already, subscribe. The time period that this chart covers is August 14th, 2020, which is a month from now. I'm trying to see what the stars suggest will be the main theme for us in about a month. I began to take a look into next year, 2021, and I see a theme, and so I'm trying to see what's going on now. Mm. Wonder how I get rid of this thing. If I click this, what that do? Nope, I don't want that. I don't want that. Oh, made it worse. What if I do that? Oh, hell to the no. Click on that. Okay. It's pretty warm here, but not ridiculous. What I've been picking up since I've been, studying the stars uh, for the uh, near future. is that the wool is going to continue to be pulled over our eyes, just basic men and women eyes, the populace eyes. The wool is going to be pulled over our eyes. Now I just started on this particular chart, but immediately what I'm interpreting now is a setup for what's going to happen a year from now. Right now is a time where the population or the populace, it will be, I'll say this, it'll be beneficial for the populace to become self-sufficient in a sense of like being aware, being conscious, being aware and conscious of what you need. Of what you need. And when I say what you need, I'm talking about like what will give you the emotional support that you need. How can I say this? This is the difficulty in interpreting the stars. It's like, how do you put it into words when there's so much going on in like one chart? Emotional needs. Obtaining emotional security. What is it that you need as a unique individual, individual unique avatar? What is it that you need to feel emotionally secure? Each of us acquire emotional security in different ways, but there are some basic, it seems like basic needs that we all have in order to feel emotionally secure. Some of the basic needs that we have is like to have companionship. No one wants to be completely alone. Could you imagine being the last man on earth or the last woman on earth? It will be this consistent longing and emptiness. So I'm saying, hey, most of us are, or I'll say, being under the human condition, being subservient to the human condition, makes us want to have a connection. Sometimes we don't even care if we connect to somebody that's really toxic, as long as we got a connection. So that's one of the things that a person, or ways a person may satisfy their emotional health. But there are so many other ways. Other people seek to gain emotional health by, I don't know, being financially okay in this world. Nobody wants to constantly worry about if they're gonna have enough. Are they gonna be okay the next month or the next year? And so people strive to earn enough to have a quality of life that they can sustain for the long haul, and that gives them peace of mind, and it also soothes their emotions. Tends to their emotional health. And so right now is the time period in which it seems like the stars are saying you have to be aware of what you need as a unique individual in order to have that emotional stability or good emotional health to be stable. Again, the things that we need, some of them are the same, similar. But then some of us have our own unique need. And so we need to identify that. Hello? Who? Who is this? Right now is not a good time. Thank you. Oh. Forewarned is forearmed. Forewarned is forearmed. What is it that you need? Please like, share, and if you haven't already, subscribe. This is just a live study session. I'm bored. I'm still in quarantine. I'm still in quarantine. I'm bored, and I'm trying not to go back to sleep because it's hot. So on this chart here, there is it's talking about I would like to learn how to articulate this stuff. How can I talk about it? Oh, shoot. Okay, next month, if the astrological energies point directly to philosophies and worldviews and uh, perspectives, and it's a person's awareness, just how aware a person is. Based on what we have been experiencing thus far over the last, we'll say, 6 months or so, the time has come for certain experiences to unfold. A certain set of experiences are predetermined or predestined to unfold because of our most recent past experiences. An example, just some examples of our most recent past experiences have to do with a pandemic, quarantining, deaths, what else is out here? Having to sanitize, the tissue craze, unemployment, being overworked as an essential worker, an increased amount of starting to buy online, and so those are our most I'll say shared experiences in our most recent past. Then there are our own individual unique experiences that we've had, we can say, like over the last 6 months. Because of all of that, there are predetermined experiences that are scheduled to commence, well, start next month. It has to. And so remember, there are 7 plus billion people in the world. So I can't just pinpoint one person. I have to speak very general. So each of our experiences have some similarities. Then our individual experiences have its unique components to it. All 7.7 plus billion people in the world. Everybody from a homeless person or a bum on a stoop or a wino out on the street corner or whatever the case may be, all the way up to the elitists living in elaborate or elegant mansions, the whole gamut of people in this world. All of them, each of us, have our own unique perspectives and understandings and awarenesses about life, about this world, about our place in life, about racism. I mean, yeah, we can say racism, or nationality. Each of us have our different level of education and understanding. And so we're moving into a time period where that's spotlighted, that those defining attributes about each of us. So hard to articulate this stuff because each of us use what we have learned or come to understand in the course of our lives, no matter if it's right or wrong, no matter if it's righteous or unrighteous. We use that to help us personally survive, to strive in this world. It's a rat race. As we move into next month, that is, the theme that is spotlighted. It's the rat race. It's the desperate, anxious need to survive. To be the one. Not that you may not per se wish ill on another person, and I'm going outside of what I'm reading, just expanding upon how I perceive what I'm reading in this chart over here. It's not that you may, think ill of another or wish ill on them, but self-perseverance is first and foremost. And so in order for a person to persevere, to survive, you can only use the arsenal that you have. I think it's arsenal that you have, the artillery that you have. And the first thing is your awareness. Let me try to talk about awareness, belief, understanding, having clarity. As an individual person moving to survive, to strive in this rat race, you're going to use first your mind, your consciousness, and your awareness. Now, if you're a brilliant MF, then your arsenal of intellect, your intelligence, is superior to many people. You may be, as a intelligent MF, a person that you know how to think effectively enough to know when to hold them or when to fold them, or how to respond to a life event or circumstance or situation, wherever the case is that's thrown at you. You know how to address it or attack it in a very proficient way, which means things come out out better for you. You don't suffer as many losses. When to cut your losses. You may have more victories. Why? Because you know how to think. Because you might have the Sagittarius energy backing you. You might have a higher education. You may have more world travels. So your awareness may be expanded, broader, more deep. You may understand certain areas or fields of knowledge, like law. Maybe you got to deal with law issues, and you got that, and you can handle whatever scenario come up. Or you may be in the agriculture, you're a farmer, you can handle that. And so again, I'm talking about next month, and what the astrological energies point to, the theme, it is about your awareness and your consciousness about this physical world, and therefore how to address any challenges or life experiences that come your way. Now, for the intelligent MF, things may be better, but then there's always the other end of the spectrum, because we live in a dual reality, is that there are people that don't have a broader awareness or extensive understanding. They may have minimal education. They could just be dim-witted or just misdirected. How do these people deal with unfolding circumstances and situations? Usually not very well. If a person is confronted with a life challenge that says, okay, have to know advanced math. Well, they don't know advanced math, so they can't solve the problem. Or a lawsuit. Well, because they may not have a higher intellect or awareness, they may not be economically stable enough to afford or retain an attorney to help them battle off a lawsuit. Another way a person can defend themselves is pro se. They can defend themselves, but usually when a person doesn't have a higher awareness, education, they can't even do that. And so it's talking about those variations of type of people that exist in the world. the populace, each individual. You know, it varies. It varies. Okay, so the very first house on this chart really talks about each individual and their social roles or social standing and their capabilities. You know, how can I say this? In order to be a doctor, you have to go to school. You have to be taught, trained, to be able to be a doctor, a surgeon. And because you've gone through that training, you have those skills, you have the social role of a doctor, you get paid more, you have a higher level of understanding about anatomy and stuff like that. And so it's talking about that. Again, I'm talking about the same thing, just trying to reword it, adding a little more of what the energy is talking about here for next month. And then let's go to a person that lacks education. Maybe life is giving them some hard knocks. They sit on a stoop all day in a slump, and they just can't get out of it. Well, because that's their social role, usually their income or financial life is relevant, meaning they usually broke. And that's their social role, you know, and they don't have much influence or pull in this world. That's what the very first house is really pointing to about, again, each individual. 7.7 plus billion people in the world. Remember, there are people that range from the person that's homeless all the way up to the people that reside in elaborate or elegant mansions, you know. And so it's a whole array of people. All of these people moving through this world trying to survive. Trying to survive. And that's what, again, the first energies talk about. This is a live study, so I'm just sharing as I, hey, do you have an OnlyFans? You talking about a fan, an oscillating fan? OnlyFans? I don't understand that. Because if you're talking about a physical cooling fan, I have a cooling fan over here. Oh, you love my work. Thank you very much. How are you, Elliot? You know, I'm just doing some studies, trying to stay calm and cool. And what am I studying? This chart over here. Is it over here? I can't even see myself. Yep, this chart over here. I'm sitting up here interpreting it live and just talking about what I'm seeing. So now let's talk more about the 7.7 plus billion people in the world, and us each having our own level of awareness, and therefore that awareness is a supportive element to help us strive. You know more, you do more. You know less, you get less. Usually that's the way it goes. And when I say usually that's the way it goes, I mean just that, because even the astrological energies talk about that, about how, you know, based on your consciousness and your awareness, it's like looking at this whole physical existence like a puzzle. Some people can't see all the little puzzle pieces, all the thousands of pieces of puzzle pieces that need to be organized and then, you know, put together. Some people can't see it. Why? Because they don't have that the clarity, the vision, the awareness, the reference. When I say reference, I'm talking about, imagine a 1,000-piece puzzle of a tree. If you ain't never seen a tree, then you don't have the awareness in order to refer to, or the remembrance to refer to say, well, this is how a tree look. The bark and the base go down here and the leaves go up there. Some people literally don't have that ability, that capability. And so it's talking about in the month of August, the people that possess the capability to see the bigger picture, the whole puzzle of our reality, our world, the constructs, everybody's social role, and how it all plays in together. And then there are others that can't see. It also talks about, when I say it, I'm talking about this astrological wheel over here. It talks about people's, I call it swagger. Usually, if you know what you know, like a doctor knows what they know, like many attorneys know what they know, they're experts. And there's a sense of egotism there because you know what you know. And with that egotism and that being so sure that you are, you know, aware of the ins and outs associated with anything, permits a person to be so confident, you know, and that confidence is like a swagger. You can persuade other people, you know. Now, it's up to the individual if they persuade people negatively or positively. We haven't gotten there yet. That's actually next year, 2021. So right now, we're talking about how there are some people that have a high level of swagger. And then there are those that don't have a high level of swagger, or maybe a false ego or something like that. Why? Because they really haven't become proficient in any area. They're like weak links in society. Not talking about nobody, not dogging nobody. I'm talking about what the astrological energies are pointing to. Why is what I'm talking about important? It is because many of us, I think, take life for granted. I know I did when I was younger. You know, I didn't understand why I had to go to school. I didn't understand why I needed to be educated. I didn't know why my family just kept pushing me and pushing me. It took a lot of years before I truly understood why they wanted me to be educated. So I'm very thankful. I always say I'm very thankful to my family because now my awareness is broadened through education, through world travels. But a lot of people didn't have that for one reason or another. So it's a large percentage of the world's population that is not aware of the tricks that are taking place and soon will take place. They are still very, what's the word? I'll say susceptible to persuasion. What's the word I'm looking for? Naive, susceptible to persuasion. I can't think of the word. I got it on the tip of my tongue, but I can't think of it. Hi, Jordan. How are you? I'm acting like I can see. I'll be challenging myself. Hi, Zach. Hey, do you have a link where you identify as a BBW? No, that was in my 20s. That was in my 20s. I'm a long way from that time period. You say facts, Jordan? Yeah, facts. And so, I don't know. Sometimes when I look at the messages in the stars, I don't understand how we could possibly rectify our weaknesses in order to offset the challenges that humanity is going to face overall. I don't see it. What am I saying? There's some people that are really, really dim-witted for different reasons. All different, totally different reasons. And so how can we inspire the masses to release being dim-witted? How can you inspire somebody to not be dim-witted? You know, again, a person can be dim-witted, and that's because I use that term because I don't have a better term, for different reasons. Either they just didn't advance with their education, or weren't able to do their life setup. They may not have had world travels maybe because they, financially weren't able to. Um, it's so many different reasons a person's intellect and comprehension did not evolve, and it's stuck, it's stagnated. But that seems to be what the answer really is to many of the problems the world faces today and will continue to face for some years. And that literally puts me in the mind of, it was a saying, the children are our future. Children are our future. That it's possible that the only way humanity will be freed from those entanglements we are in, not relationship entanglements, y'all. I'm talking about these very spiritual entanglements and world domination entanglements, them kind of entanglements. Is through the children, which what are our future. So of course the children would be being under attack now by the powers that be, because they still don't want the people to wake up. So what's over here? Why I can't see? Oh, they've been continued and brainwashed, but people are waking up. People, that's the thing, Jordan. What I'm seeing in my studies, yes, there's an aspect. I made a video, I didn't publish it. It's called Surreal. And in that video I talked about what such a surreal time period we're in right now. I talked about how people are waking up, but as people wake up, they're waking up, and some people are being are traumatized, and because of that trauma, they're stagnant. They're stagnant, stunned even. And the awakening, yes, people are waking up, but then people think that it's just like one level to waking up. It's multiple levels of waking up. It is like it took me years to wake up, years, and it's a lot of people just being. It's like a sudden Uranian alarm waking up the masses. And again, some people are stunned, shocked even, and have stagnated and are not continuing to wake up. In that video I made that I didn't publish, called Surreal, so if it come out, if I do end up publishing it, please watch it. I don't know if I will or won't, or will not. I was talking about how people, I was talking about the different things that we have to awaken to. We did our preliminary shake, shaking up, waking up, opening our eyes a little bit. But there are different things that we have to awaken to. We're not fully awake. It's like being in between a sleep state and awake state. Not fully up and alert. We're not fully alert. And one of the things is that, and I understand that it's hard to grasp, is that we are not this physical body. We hear it all the time, but I don't think that the majority of humanity actually gets that we have a soul essence, and so it has to be this level of awakening where we realize that we are not this physical vessel, but we are a soul. We are a soul essence. And not only that, is that we are not the only beings that exist. There are other entities that exist, because a lot of what we are doing battle with, or being attacked by, I'll say, we're being attacked by beings that are not physical. So there's a lot of awakening that has to occur before we can again ascend. Right now, the state that we're at, we are descending. We are creating a hell-like state on this earth. We have been socially engineered for this time to help us descend. I talked about social engineering about 2 or 3 years ago. Unfortunately, it didn't get a lot of views because it would help people to see um, the power of social engineering has had on the populace mindset and behavior, especially now at this time of what? The awakening, the opportunity to awaken. This is that. It is that. The time to awaken. But there are many levels to the awakening. Many levels. Remember, this is a live study session, so I just do me, including partaking my vices, which is coffee and what? Cigarettes. I do not condone this activity at all. So, oh, it's just now 4. So let's see. The astrological energies are suggesting that there is the astrological energies are also suggesting that for each of us all 7.7 billion plus billion people in the world, that there is something or someone that is attempting to alert the majority of the populace or humanity that it's time to wake up. It's still trying to shake us awake. Again, there is a portion of the population, the world's population, that is awake, that is aware, that does comprehend. And those people, for the record, have the ability to manipulate the rest of the population. Because what? The rest of the population is still somewhat in a dazed kind of trance-like sleep state. So, I want to talk about people that sit at the, we'll say, the lower social side of the caste system, the lower side of the caste system. Talking about homeless, the destitute, the underdog, I'll say. Many of them, of those people, not all, but many, um, for well, lack education, support systems, awareness, comprehension. We can say the life is the creator is allowing them to live their life as it and their life as it is attempting to wake them up. It's attempting to reveal like their weakness, their stagnation. To try to make that make sense if I can. Remember, there are those people in this world that are very conscious, very aware, and there are people that are not conscious or dim-witted. They have no idea what's going on. They cannot see the bigger picture, the whole puzzle about what's going on in this realm, both in the physical and spiritual. Can't see at all. But remember, there is a part of the population that can see, that can identify all the various aspects of our reality and spirituality. They know how to tweak it, mess with it, social engineering. Now, those that know how to social engineer our reality in their favor, for their interests and their causes, are currently, we can say, like collaborating in order to make a move. They working together to make a move. They're of higher consciousness, birds of a feather flock together. We got all these thinkers together, moving in unison to move against what? The rest of the populace. But then we have the rest of the populace, the general populace, and it's a lot of scattered energy. The scattered energy is a lack of comprehension or awareness about what's taking place, what's going on, how to see the bigger puzzle. And each of those groups, now we got to break it up into groups. Like, example, no offense to nobody, just the average house person or housewife or house husband, they might not think that deep for whatever reason. Then it might be in every demographic location in the world. You know, this 7.7 billion people plus in the world. So all these little groups of people, groups of homeless people may not think that advance for one reason or another. The alcoholics and drug addicts and in their little social circles, they may not think that advance for one reason or another. I don't know, just a person that lacks education, those groupings of people, they may not think as advanced for one reason or another. Life is trying to wake them up. That's what I'm not getting. How do you advance somebody if they like 30 or 40 years old and they really have a limited intellectual capacity, awareness, world experience, education? I mean, how can you wake them up? to the next level. So the stars are pointing to, you know, what is your capability relative to your social role? What can you possibly do if you in one of the lower groups? What can you do? You know, it's saying, the stars seem to be saying, hey, y'all in them lower groups, y'all life experiences, whatever they are, you know, is trying to wake you up to show you that you are weak. You're a weak link. You are limited. I'm going to try to expand you. How might that look in reality? It might look like this. I don't want to be offensive, but I just try to use examples of stuff that I see in reality. Let's say it's a bunch of homeless people. They're homeless for one reason or another. Everybody's story varies, you know, for whatever reason. Well, that grouping of people, remember 7.7 billion people in the world, so I'm talking about all over the world, homeless, don't have literally physical security as far as a roof over their head, whatever, food to eat and things like that. Well, some of those groups depend on charity in reality. So their life experience may begin to unfold in a way that their dependency on charity will be less and less met. Meaning these people might go to a charity organization or need some type of charity to feed them or whatever the case may be, and the charity not coming through. That's how I see life work. And so in the spiritual realm, it's trying to say, hey, you're weak. You're not seeing the bigger picture about what's taking place, like overall. You know, people get stuck in their experiences, and all, keeping with my example, all a person can see is that the charity didn't come through. They can't see the bigger picture. Life is literally allowing certain experiences to occur so that one can look up or open up and comprehend and see the bigger picture. Because the whole thing, I guess I can say it like this, is it's in order for the underdog to benefit from here on out, the underdog must wake up, become aware, be able to comprehend what's taking place, and then be able to stand and know how to stand against our system, or to impose your will to the system. Let me try to explain that a different way. In 2021, whomever, and my complication in interpreting is I'm trying to go from the individual to global. So right now I'm talking about 2021. I'm talking about on the global level, our leaders. Whomever is allowed and permitted to be our leaders will move forward on their interests and cause if unchecked, whatever they may be. One of the things that we're waking up to see is that our leaders, the powers that be, or someone said a while back should not be, them, their interest and cause is not for the well-being of humanity, or the humans that create humanity at any given time. That's not there. It seems to be their interest, the majority of them. So in 2021, those leaders that are in place will move forward with their own agenda. Thus far, we are aware that the majority of them does not have an interest in sustaining humanity in the best of quality as possible. In order to stop the powers that be, the leaders, it is the masses, which include the underdog, those struggling and striving, trying to make it, to wake up, to become aware, and to become actively involved in telling those leaders what they are to do. See, something happened hundreds of years ago. And what happened is, remember, I did a video called What is a Pyramid? And I talked about how the world's population, all the individuals that create humanity at any given time, is symbolized in the structure of the pyramid. That pyramid is a system that was developed in order to ensure that all of the natural resources were distributed to the world's population in a timely manner, and not only in a timely manner, in a in a systematic way, to make sure it was something already written down. You know how to go about it and do it for efficiency, effectively, to be effectively distributing all the natural resources, healthcare, and everything to the rest of the world. We know that that pyramid system has been corrupted. The powers that be, the people that we elect into office and seats of power, are corrupt. And so those people that end up in those seats of power have a distorted mindset about that pyramid. They think, and it's very obvious in what's taking place, they think that the majority of the world's population is supposed to work like dogs and slaves to ensure their easy ride through this life. But that's not how and why that pyramid system was created. It was created so that there was a certain assigned or ordained, even part of the population, the higher ups, the leaders, could keep everything organized. And what's the name of that piece in the car? An alternator. They play like an alternator. That was the original role of the leaders, to play as an alternator, overseeing what is now, the world's population is now 7.7 plus billion people. Alternator, to make sure everything goes out. They were put in those seats by the people. But because everything is corrupted, now those same people that sit on those seats of power think that everybody works just to ensure, again, their easy ride through life. So what am I saying? That whole pyramid system has been corrupted due to the distorted perspective of the people higher up. In order to bring the pyramid plan back to its original state, the majority at the bottom, the base of the pyramid, has to wake up. You have to remember that we are the ones that, go out and get all the natural resources and dig them up and refine them, make medicine. That's what we do. And so if the leaders are not doing their job that they were ordained, or we're going to say elected to do, then there has to be a change that takes place. I know I'm all off now, off the study. I'm just, talking about everything I've picked up over the years in my studies. Another thing that I made a video about, another topic I made, a video about 2 or 3 years ago. Was this? I don't even know the name of the video because I was just talking like I'm talking now. It's the change of guard, the change of the guards. And in that video, I talked about how the higher ups are coming up to age, like Queen Elizabeth coming up to age. And so they may very well, those older folks may die out. So who will take the next seats? Well, now seats of power are handed over as a part of a legacy, rather than people being elected. Whoever the queen's great granddaughter is get the seat. And so I started researching who are our powers that be millennials, because it's time for the millennials to take their seats of power based under the corrupt system. And I looked at like Paris Hilton, Charles, I don't even know their last name, all of those millennials. And one of the things I realized when I was doing that research back then is it's really, really hard. Now, I was just talking about the royal family. It popped up on my phone. I'm telling you, they listening to everything. I'm going to get rid of the phone. They listen to everything. That's a whole nother video, and I've talked about that before. It's a bit annoying for technology to know everything you're talking about, and it also does prophecy. If you pay attention, anything you've thought about, anything going on in your life is all popping up. That shit annoying. I don't like that. Anyway, so I was talking about these millennials and how it was very, very difficult to find out who these millennials are that will soon take these seats of power. Because I was saying in that video back then, it is important for us to understand what bloodline these millennials are attached to or descending from, as well as to look at what their ancestral line interests were, their behavior as far as, in relationship to them having power. Because we're going to have to deal with these new millennials that take seats of power, and whatever that bloodline disposition has been is going to be magnified by 1,000. These are the millennials. It's going to be magnified. And so I talked about that then. And so, heck, I forgot fussing about that, what I was going to talk about. I forgot. You say the old system is going down, and I'm glad. I'm glad for that too. If we, the people, were to work together, build our own society, we wouldn't need them. And it's is on. I believe that too, George. If we could just build, even like the black community could build its own little individual society, small groups, that would be like the third house of Gemini energy, the smaller groups, and those smaller groups self-govern. That will be more beneficial, I think, to the populace overall. But there are certain things realities that exist that I don't think a lot of us take into consideration. Even though I'm with you and I want to try it, I would rather try it than to go up under another construct. I don't want to go up under another construct that is headed by these higher ups. Now, even if we were able to break down in a multiplicity of small societies, that third house Gemini, it still would be the pyramid scheme, pyramid plan that we would have to use in order to ensure everybody in that community had what they needed at any given time. And that system, again, could still be corrupted. It can still be corrupted, even on a smaller scale. But that's the kind of awakening we have to come to realize, that it like to be ordained into those seats of power or elected into those seats of power comes great responsibility, because those people, again, that sit in those seats of power, they can corrupt uh, that system. You know what I'm saying? That's the awakening, and that we also need to have, especially leaders, people that are natural born leaders, have to be aware that if they corrupt that system, it jeopardizes the livelihood of everybody else that's associated with that construct. You know, and eventually it will destroy them. So that's an awareness, but that is also um, that is connected with our spiritual development. You know, it's that the awareness that we are all one. You know how that was the various universal laws. We are all one, and the corruption of that pyramid plan shows that the all the people that compose that pyramid do not realize that we are all one and we are codependent upon each other. So, and again, that same thing, the same possibilities exist even if it's broken down into smaller societies. Another thing which I was going to talk about, that people, a reality that people don't seem to acknowledge, is that the standing structure that we are now under, that is breaking down, still talking about the pyramid scheme and pyramid plan, that system went and destroyed the food supply throughout the world. So even if we broke down in smaller groups, that old system hoarded everything it possibly could and destroyed the rest. See, that's one of the obstacles that we have to get over. And that's another level of awakening or awareness that the world's population has to have, is that we have to liberate all the things that they have hoarded in order to reestablish a paradise here on this earth. That's, say, like I talk about being in the city of Detroit. When I came up, it was fruit, plants, and trees everywhere. And at a certain period in time in my life, they came and sprayed something and it destroyed everything. Everybody, front yard, backyard, alley, it destroyed every strawberry bush, pear tree, grape tree, grapevine. It destroyed everything. So that's something that we will have to reverse the effects of. You know, so that this whole system that breaking down really did a whammy on the earth itself and its ability to reproduce. So that's one of the things we'll have to deal with. Someone with spiritual integrity. We don't need any more politicians. Exactly. We don't need politicians. That's another thing, Jordan. You really hit the, what they call, nail on the head. Is that we call them politicians. Those original people that were ordained, or elect, we call elected with politicians, were ordained to sit at the top of that pyramid and to be the alternator to make sure that everybody in the world or in a demographic location got what they need to survive and to sustain their existence in the highest of quality, were originally people that were spiritual leaders that had integrity. All of that's gone. People are not in tune with their spiritual self anymore. They don't even know that they're spirit. They don't have no idea. They don't understand the hell that they're helping cultivate. They're heading the cultivation of a hell-like state here on this earth. So wait until Pluto goes into Aquarius. Oh, that's a whole. I think that. Oh gosh, things are about to get wild. Yeah, it's gonna get wild. Because what do Pluto do? Destroy. It totally destroys. It's nuclear power, and Aquarius is humanity. The people that create humanity at any given time and our cause and purposes. So either we're going to destroy the old structure and redevelop well, it won't be the new one. It's not even the structures. That's the thing. It's not even the constructs of this world that's truly the problem. It's the people. It's the Aquarius. It's the people. It's the state of people's souls. Now, 2021. 2021, and when I was studying it, it talked about what was that? 2021. Oh, desperation. Desperation, I'll say, is a theme in 2021. And I say it's desperation because the astrological energies talked about how it's each, always got to go back to each individual that create humanity at any given time. I say it like that because there are people dying and there are people being born. So people that exist at any given time that create humanity, them people, us. Each individual, I started this live stream talking about how each of us needs something that will offer us a sense of emotional stability and security, feeling emotionally safe, like we can breathe, like we okay to live, like we not gonna starve, we not gonna be hungry, we not gonna be susceptible to none of the elements. We okay, and it just puts our heart and our mind at ease, emotional security, knowing it's gonna be someone there to lift you up, to pick an orange off a tree. If your hut blow down to bad weather, it's going to be your crew or your third house Gemini folks that's going to help come put your hut back up. You ain't got to worry about it. It's those type of things that offer people emotional support, or just having a companion. Okay, so in 2021, we're still talking about those innate emotional needs being met. How did it go? Now, will your innate emotional needs be met? I don't know. Will my innate emotional needs be met? I don't know. Because if we are real with ourselves in this reality, most people get what they need and get support if they got social pull, if they got swagger, if they got power. You know what I'm saying? Those are the people that used to get what they need. And then if those people, we can say, are righteous, then they might fight for the underdog to make sure the underdog gets some of them things that they need. How do I say this? Talking about 2021 and the astrological themes. So, it's suggesting that many people, the 7.7 billion people that create humanity in 2021, that there's going to be a portion of the population that doesn't feel secure. They don't feel okay. Every day, many people gonna be working, how can I say, working like paycheck to paycheck. So I gotta stop and talk about this. I call it working paycheck to paycheck. As just the average worker, not making a lot, not that much above the poverty level, you may very well be able to, pay your rent, like gas, water, or whatever your bills are. But you don't have an insurance that you're going to be okay for the long haul. You live in paycheck to paycheck or moment to moment. That sense of looming dread is something that we have learned to push to the back of our mind. Just like we push the concept of death to the back of our mind. It would drive us crazy to constantly worry about if we're going to be okay the next week or the next month or the next year. We just put forth our best effort. We go to work, paycheck to paycheck. But it's still that looming sense or dread that something can go wrong. Okay? So I'm talking about 2021. That concern that the mundane person has is spotlighted in 2021. That not knowing if you're going to be secure, that everything going to be okay for the long haul, Um, and so each of us, that's just one way to see, it's complicated. So I'm gonna just hold on to that, but understand that that's just one example of how the energy in 2021 could manifest. So each of us are striving to get or have emotional security and stability, to be okay, to know it's all right. Each of us go about trying to obtain whatever we need in this physical world in different ways. Each of us go about gaining what we need out this physical world that we think gonna help us be emotionally stable. You know, our emotional health. You know, if you got a roof over your head, you're usually more emotionally calm and still and not as aggressive or sad or worried or depressed of that. So we want that security. How can I say? I'm talking about 2021 energy. So it's a level of desperation that exists, unspoken, unspoken. We just keep trying to move forward. It's unspoken desperation, fear, unspoken. But if you or anybody could catch a break, like hit the Mega Millions, become the beneficiary of a large sum of money, inherit a house and you never have to pay property taxes, get a new car and it never ever broke down. If you could get these insurances, this surety that you'll be okay for the long haul, wouldn't you take it? Wouldn't you take it? You know? Not having to every 28 to 30 days worry about paying the rent, the mortgage, the light, the gas, the insurance, the dental, don't know if you're going to have it all the next month. No insurance for most of us. But next month, that insecurity that certain people, particular people have, that insecurity about if they gonna be okay, if their fame is gonna stay in place, if their career is gonna stay in place, are they is their business gonna stay lucrative? That fear, you know, is going to be removed for some. So who's going to remove the fear? Certain powers that be. Certain people that sit in seats of power is going to remove that fear for some. It's a tactic to attack the people in humanity. I might have to talk about it another time, but I just want to get it out. And you said, okay. So let me try to see if I can explain. Now, who will catch these breaks? Remember, it's 7.7 plus billion people in the world. So many people broken down into groups by race, nationality. It's hard to articulate this concept. But who's more important out of all these, out of 7.7 plus billion people? Who's most important on a global level, on a I guess global is federal, a federal level, on a or a national level, on a city level or a local level? Who's most important in your community? Who's most important? I asked who's most important, who has more swagger, who has more consciousness and awareness and is able to move this reality in a way that's beneficial to them, their causes and their interests. It is those people that are most likely going to be the pool from which the powers that be pick who to take that worry from, to make sure they pick them up and say, okay, let me try. They pick certain people out of that pool, the conscious people, the more aware people, the people with swagger in any demographic group in the world. and say, oh, you worried about if your fame gonna stay? I'm gonna help promote you. Don't worry about it. You worried about if your career is sustainable, or if you're gonna get enough clientele to maintain your what they call it, your own business or whatever. Oh, don't worry about it. We're gonna take that fear from you. You promote it. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna be certain people that are picked to be uplifted and upheld in 2020. Why? Remember, while everybody is, you know, working paycheck to paycheck, just trying to make it, trying to hold back the constant worry about if they're gonna be okay. So everybody gonna seem like it's gonna be kind of a pressurized state in 2021. You know, I don't know if I'm gonna be okay. I don't know if my job gonna be in place. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make my child support payments. I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to buy food. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to buy medicine. I don't speak about it because that ain't socially cool for me to speak about it. But these are my concerns. I'm gonna try to keep up my fronts. Everybody else is. So everybody living like that. Well, there's a few people out of the, you know, population being picked. I call it cherry picked out to be upheld as if everything is okay. These people, it almost seems to me, I haven't referred back to my notes, these cherry-picked people that will be picked as role models, like everything is okay, are going to be the same people that's used to manipulate the rest of the populace. So when I say that, I mean, hey, we got many different constructs in this world. So it's going to be people like, example, you know, sports. This is an example. Sports is one of the areas that we know they push people out. Oh, you can be rich and famous to play basketball, that kind of thing. Push them in your face. Or Oprah Winfrey. There's only one Oprah Winfrey in the world, but they put her out there like you can be Oprah Winfrey. You can do. Or Tyler Perry. Or whomever. You know, they push them out there. Or Kevin Hart. Or whoever. You know, you can be them. Just keep on trying. And so you work so desperately because they tell you they symbolically, or not symbolically, what's the name of it? What's the word? Here they go, riding these bikes. They subliminally, continuously suggest that if you just keep on trying, if you work hard enough, you could be just like the role model. Now remember, that's a tactic from this structure that is currently being deconstructed, the world structure. It's a tactic from that. It's going to be used in 2021. And it's amplified. Now, when I was studying the year, a year from now, in 2021, a lot of the planets and trans-Neptunian planets or points were all retrograde. And why are they retrograde? What does that suggest to us? Well, it suggests that what I'm talking about is a reoccurrence, meaning it took place before. These are tactics that have taken place before. Remember, it's called social engineering. So, in 2021, it's no different. It's a continuation with social engineering to do what? Line us up for that which is soon to become our reality. So we're being reprogrammed again. Remember, a majority of the world's population is stunned, shocked in the first level of the awakening. Not all the way fully awake, stunned and shocked. I've heard, I don't know, but I heard something called, what is it called in Hollywood? They say they do, in Hollywood, they talk about they use this tactic, and in the Church of Scientology, like brainwashing. They traumatize, shock, shame, and brainwashing. Like that. So think about the world's population, all seven, well, the majority of 7.7 plus billion people being in shock from this initial awakening. If a person just woke up during this pandemic, like what the heck is that? Nobody ever heard of a pandemic being real and being quarantined for months on end, and unemployment at an all-time high. That can be just that could be a way a person was awakened, shocked. So we're in this very vulnerable state now. We're in this vulnerable state. I was just talking about how most of those planetary bodies were retrograde, and those retrograde planetary bodies suggest a reoccurrence in what? Social engineering. That's what I'm talking about now. Still talking about it. So, thanks for wanting me on. This is a live study session. I done forgot what I was going to say, most of it. So, I'm just going to do what I do. (2021). What is unfolding now is totally tied in to what is going to occur, what is scheduled to occur in 2021. What is to occur in 2021 is that the powers that be are going to select certain people out of the world's population to be role models. And those role models will be so thankful that they were picked out of the lottery, that even though they know there's something quite wrong with, like, say, their contract or what they're asked to do, they're going to be okay with it. The reason why they're going to be okay with it is because that looming fear of failure is going to be removed from them. They have a surety of a more stable life, and therefore they can be more emotionally secure. But then it's the rest of the people that haven't been selected. The rest of the people. The rest of the 7.7 billion plus people in the world. The rest of them. Still, how can I say this? Still needing what they need. Wanting what they want. To be physically and emotionally secure. To feel safe while in this physical vessel. Still wanting. Some of those people have a level of awareness and comprehension about what's taking place, like me and you. But then there's another part of the world's population that is dim-witted for one reason or another, and they have no awareness or no comprehension about what's taking place. But all of us do know that there's something that we need to feel secure and to be stable. The powers that be have their own agenda. Remember, the pyramid plan is corrupt. The powers that be still have an agenda. And they got to move all of us, the majority of humanity, in the direction that they want us to go in order to uphold their cause. Remember, the pyramid, the majority of humanity, is the base like of the pyramid, three-fourths of the pyramid. Those elitists, those leaders are just a little top 1 or 2% of the pyramid, the little triangle. Remember, it's a us thing. That's what the pyramid represents. It's a us thing. It's a humanitarian thing. But the system is corrupted. So, those powers that be, that 1 to 2% of that pyramid, must move the majority of the people that create humanity in 2021 to back their agenda. So complicated. So much going on. How are they going to manipulate humanity and backing their agenda. Number one, trauma. Most of us are traumatized now, stuck, debilitated. We are not awakening or ascending with our awakening at this time. Many of us stagnant. So we traumatized. The next is to further traumatize us or impose or have a pending sense of doom to keep that traumatic state in place. This is all between 9/20/21 and beyond. This is what the stars are saying, not me, the stars. Then the powers that be put the role models in play for us to look at or after. To keep trying to work hard, whatever part of the construct work, keep trying to do it with the pending looming sense of doom at the back of our mind. Can't talk about it because it's not cool. They have an agenda. They're moving us to supporting their agenda. What might their agenda be? Possibly, I don't know. It could be the New World Order and the constructs and all that. We have yet to go into detail about that. So it could just be that. And how the world gonna run from here on out after this here pandemic. So, what else did them stars say? Because 2021 is an interesting time period. So the powers that be are going to tell the people that they put in power, as role models, I need you to do this. And you are a representative of a certain portion of the population. I need you to do this because they're going to follow you. Same thing we got going on. Remember, retrograde energy suggests it's a reoccurrence. So I need you to be a Beyonce or whatever and lead your herd. I need you to be a Jordan and not you, Jordan, the basketball Jordan, and lead your herd. I need you to be this and lead your herd, that and lead your herd, and in payment and appreciation for your service to humanity. I'm gonna make sure that your physical, worldly wants, needs, and desire are met to the point that you never have any fear about tomorrow. That's their reward. Okay. So we know they're going to do that. I done said that multiple times. What's the next thing they said it's going to do in the stars? I told so much I forgot. What did it say it was going to do? Because I was like, oh, okay. Oh, I know. To each individual. How important are you? How important are your own emotional needs? How important is it that you get what you need in order to be emotionally secure and stable? The stars astrological energies for 2021 suggest that many people won't be able to sustain or hold on to what they need. What's it called when you lose yourself in somebody else? You'll lose yourself into like those role models and whatever they're promoting, which is actually connected to the agenda of the rulers and the leaders. You lose yourself until the stars, whomever they put up before you, you lose yourself in them. You'll forget about what you want and you need. You'll forget, example, that you need food, and you'll forget that you don't just want to be assured that you'll eat today. You want to be sure that you'll eat a month from now. You want to be assured that you'll eat a year from now. You want to be assured that anything that descends from you will eat, decades from now. We need, this is what humanity needs, we need our paradise back in place. We need everything that this system hoarded. Hello? It's out of control. That's what humanity needs. You know, with our higher self, we're aware of that. Let me stop. Because there's certain things that we're aware of. Yes, we each are aware of our own personal wants, needs, and desires. But we also aware that this is a us thing. It's not just us. It is every living being on this planet that needs insurance for a surety. But the ego has us, or the human condition has us where we primarily focus on our own survival. Okay, so what am I talking about that for? Because it's about the expression of our lower self, which says it's just about me. I need to survive. I need to strive by any means necessary. That expression is an expression of our lower vibrational self, even pushing toward our demonic self. Because just like those leaders, just like those people that will be cherry picked to be the role models, they are in their lower dark demonic self. You know what I'm saying? They are intentionally moving to manipulate the people. So that's one expression. And then it's the other expression that divinity or the creator, whoever it may be, is trying to get us to. And that is where we express our higher selves. Like, yes, I do need food. I need to know that I'm going to eat for my whole lifetime. But I also need to know that the next generation is going to eat, and the one after that. I need, or we need, our garden back. We need all those seeds and everything else that has been hoarded by the system and stored up, put back. Because that system destroyed everything that it couldn't store. We need it back. That's the higher self. That's where the divinity is trying to get us to be in our highest expression, which is humane, and it's representative of humanity, right? Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. So, going back to talking about losing ourselves to the role models, losing ourselves to their agenda, losing ourselves to their cause, losing ourselves to what? Agenda, cause, or being persuaded to help them meet their goals, and forgetting about what we need, forgetting about what we need as an individual in our lower self, and also forgetting ultimately about what we need relative to humanity. We need our whole garden back. You know, that's what 2021 talks about, how the majority of the world's population is going to be manipulated into forsaking oneself, one's needs, not even wants, needs, you know, in order to help reach the goal of the leaders or the powers that be. It also talked about how there is a part of the population, of course, is always the opposite end of the spectrum, because this is a duality of people that can see the bigger picture. No, you may not hold a seat of power or be a leader or an official. It's just me, it's just you, you know, but we are aware of the bigger picture. We can see the 1,000-piece puzzle. We can see the different layers. We can see the different tactics that are being used in order to manipulate us into forgetting about ourselves and what we want in order to help move and satisfy the leader's agenda. Hopefully that makes sense. So this is a study session. I gotta go back and study some more. I don't even know if I'm still alive or not. But I just get to talking. So I'm quiet now for a moment. Oh, I did want to look at, because it was something else about 2020. It talked about the different tactics that's going to be used. So forearmed is forewarned. Tactics that would be used, or social engineering that will take place and is taking place. in order to get us all on board to back this structure that's being renovated. And another thing I think that would be beneficial to each of us is to recognize your level of social influence. Me, I don't have a lot of social influence. Nobody listens to me. I'm aware of that. I know that about me and my reality and how I relate to others. Okay. That's a whole nother video. That would be Aquarius rant. And so it's important to know just how much social pull you have. And the reason that I say that and think it's important is because from now up and through 2021, it's an increased spotlight on leaders, representatives, authorities. And if you're not a leader, then you are a follower or supporter. Remember, the system is corrupt. The leaderships, the people that sit in seats of power, the leaders, the authority, have their own agenda. It is the reconstruction of our world structure that will govern humanity, almost like new humanity, whole new breed of people. It seemed like the mind changed. Our minds are being changed, manipulated, social engineered, and so the new construct is going to govern. Oh, the new man, the new woman. It's corrupt. I don't know how to say that one. So anyway, it's a real focus on the authorities, the leaders, you know, working first incognito, and then by 2021 really being very in the spotlight. Let me see. I was trying to see. Oh, tactics. Remember, I was saying there are going to be people cherry-picked out of the world's population to be role models, representatives, stars, for us to awe and follow after and forget about our personal needs and humanity's needs. How are leaders going to be interacting with those select few? Number one, I told you they're going to put on the table satisfying their physical, worldly wants, needs, and desires in order to manipulate them into playing a role. And they want these particular selected people to play the role because they got swagger. They got social pull and influence, etc., etc. The herds will follow. They will listen. Well, another thing is that, do you know, let me stop. I don't even know if I'm in the frame, y'all. If I'm not in the frame, I apologize. Have you ever felt special? Have you ever felt special? This is the tactics that the powers that be are using on a certain small percentage of the world population. Most likely the ones who would be cherry-picked to be, remember, the stars, the role models, the representatives. Make them feel special. Let me give you an example. of how a person may be made to feel special. We see it even now. Remember, these planets are retrograde, meaning it's a reoccurrence. What's the man name? Kanye West and Donald Trump. He feels so special. We see this musician, I think he is, or singer, rapper, whatever he is, Kanye West, Mr. West I'll call him, because I don't know how to pronounce his first name. We see him around the president all the time. He feels special. That's one of the tactics that the powers that be will continue to use from now throughout 2021 in order to manipulate certain people in the world's population to do they be it for them. That's a prime example, perfect example. And so it makes a person feel like they're so, important. What does it say? Tactic will feed. Oh, and it says this tactic. Now this is me interpreting the stars for next year. It says these persons, these people, Kanye West, Mr. West is an example, will have the sense that the leader or Donald Trump is just talking to you or doing business with you because you're extra special. You got a little extra something. You got swag. You got persuasion. And that they will be given, like Kanye West, Mr. West, will be feeling like the leader, Donald Trump, can just trust you to do the job. Just you. This is the stars now, y'all. It says the tactic is it will feed into the people's, talking about Mr. West as an example, desires, personal desires, to be important, special, to uphold his career, whatever ambition or reputation and or his social status. Now, he's just an example I'm using. Since we're moving into a new paradigm, I think there are going to be new faces introduced to society, new role models introduced to society for us to follow. So be aware. Forewarned is forearmed. These people will be hand selected by the powers that be, the authority figures, for a purpose. And that purpose is helping you get on board with fulfilling their agenda. The powers that be cannot fulfill their corrupt agenda without your support, without the majority support. We have to have a keen eye. We have to be much more intelligent than we are, which goes back into we got a problem, Scotty. I don't know if that's a quote, but we got a problem, Scotty. We got a problem, y'all, because a large percentage of the population is dim-witted for whatever reason. The next thing I saw when I was reading the stars, let's see what else is picked up. What are you listening to? I don't know what this is. I'm getting all kind of crazy stuff on my phone. Okay. Now, another example that I picked up when I was reading one of the energies was about the continuation or the reoccurrence, retrograde planets, with gentrification. Before gentrification takes place, gentrification, I'll say, is a part of a process. Did I write the definition down? Oh, I did a lot more work on that than I thought. And I still, okay, I did. Okay, gentrification. I wrote down some synonyms for gentrification, not the definition. Or did I? Gentrification synonyms are a facelift, improvement, renewal, repair, restoration, upgrade. Gentrification is a part of a process. It is the goal of many, or some, of the world's population. Man, see, it's so much I can go into right now. I don't want to get lost. It's all the plan. The puzzle pieces are many. Let's talk. Let me cite some antonyms for the same term. The term is what? Gentrification. Remember, gentrification is about improvement. Antonyms, which are opposite words that mean the opposite, are damage, harm, injury, destruction, hurt, and neglect. Gentrification is a part or a phase in a process. Gentrification is the goal for certain people in the population or in our communities. Before gentrification takes place, there usually is a depreciation in value. There's a depreciation. See, I'm talking about right now, I'm talking about like property, communities. Before gentrification takes place, there is there is damage that is imposed on the property in a given area. There is harm done to the people, the vegetation, the plant life. There are injuries that are suffered. There's much destruction. There's much hurt, and it's even neglect, like not giving people their own property or homes and businesses during this process loans to renovate. And so it's a process that takes place. And all of this process to gentrification is a form of social engineering. I don't even know if I made that take place. Why am I talking about it? Because I'm talking about what's going to take place from now to 2020 and beyond. Even gentrification is another continuing plan. So what am I saying? There are particular areas, I'm just going to focus on the United States, where there is a predetermined plan by the powers that be. Oh my God, it go back to the other things I did. I got to stay focused because I want to go back to some old stuff I talked about. I ain't going to do it. To destroy certain demographic areas intentionally to bring the value crashing down, so that the powers that be, so that the people with money and good credit or whatever, savings, whatever they got, can go in and buy this property or reclaim this property, take it back, whatever the case is, for the lows, cheaply, get it back, and then invest into those properties, gentrification, to improve them. This is another process that will continue from now throughout 2021 and beyond. It's intentional. Remember, oh wow, remember, the powers that be are going to cherry pick role models out of the world's population to get you to follow. Gotta go back. It was a movie called New Jack City when I was younger. And the movie New Jack City explored the infiltration of the drug culture in New York during the 1980s. A plan for gentrification continues. And anyway, in that movie, drugs were flooded into inner cities with a primary focus on New York, I do believe, relative to the movie New Jack City. And this guy, played by Wesley Snipes, I think his name was Nino Brown, became one of the biggest drug dealers in that area. He held that territory down. He even took over an apartment building. And he served up all the fiends and had a whole corporation. But that right there was the cherry-picked role model in that movie. And truly it happened in real time, cherry-picked. An ambitious young man wanting to make money, wanting power, wanting bitches. Excuse me. Y'all can't know my real character. And having, what do you call it? Wanting social pull. Really, it's about social pull. It's feeding the ego. Process the gentrification continues. And so, Nino Brown took over the whole city, an apartment building. He sold the drugs. The whole community fiended out. He was cherry-picked. And he performed a part of the process to get to gentrification. He played the part or executed the portion of the process to get to gentrification that had to do with what? Destruction, neglect, injury, hurt, harm. Devastating the whole community in that movie, and it happened in reality. Devastating the whole community, so that the powers that be, the people with the money, could swoop in and buy back the community for the lows, because everything was destroyed, everything was neglected, and they came back with the gentrification, the improvement to the community, ran the market value of the properties up, beautified the whole thing, and the people with money moved in. The what do you say, the minorities, well, I guess Latinos and blacks primarily, I guess, were either dead as a direct result of that process, or dead, incarcerated, or fiend the F out for the majority of the years to follow. The same process is scheduled to take place. I was getting a little excited as I was reading this, because last year I made a video where I decoded Mr. West, Kanye West album. I don't know if he had one out since, called Jesus is King, King is Lord, whatever. And in that, when I talked about how he was letting the people that was listening to his music know, hey, there's a time period that's coming. He says, I'm looking over the gate and I can see it. I ain't even got to go over there. But he was letting us know that it's a time period that there's going to be gentrification. He said it. He said it. In that, you have to find that video. I did a heck of a job on that, because I saw that. Another thing is, when I was studying the stars last year, when I got the secret message, it said, hey, we about to go through a period that's quite similar to the period of the 1930s, during the Great Depression. During the Great Depression, it was an intentional move to shut down the populace, while a few elect people with money were able to monopolize the real estate board. They built the Golden Gate Bridge to open up whatever's on the other side of the Golden Gate Bridge. I don't even know what's over there. Was that California? I don't even know. Over there. They put all that property and real estate up there intentionally. Froze everybody out during the Great Depression. Had folks over here drinking, taking drugs, what they doing with people with unemployment and stuff. Pay attention. Talked about that in my last live stream. Drinking, drugging, ODing, overdoing it, becoming homeless, doing all the people going through, they dealing with life through their weaknesses. While the powers that be had a plan. They built that Golden State Bridge over to that island, wherever it went, or part of land, and they built a whole bunch of upscale real estate. So when the end of the Great Depression happened and everybody started moving again, they had monopolized that whole area. Could you imagine how much money people made just when it came to that Golden Gate Bridge? How much money they made with that new real estate on the other side of that bridge? It was all planned. See, the time period we moving into is a replication of that time period and those happenings. Same thing again. Kayon West knew it. Remember, and he cherry picked. He's cherry picked. Hopefully it makes sense. What am I talking about, y'all? I'm talking about the tactics that the powers that be are going to use on those that they cherry pick right now to be the folks for us to follow and forget about our own needs and our own emotional needs, and not just for now but for the long haul, even for the next generation. Okay, talked about the gentrification. What else it talked about? Ability to persuade others about. I'm just gonna read what I have here. One's ability to persuade others. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the astrological energies in 2021. It's saying, hey, the stars are pointing to. It's saying, hey, you. What's your ability to persuade others to value or support your interests? How persuasive are you? You know, and the ability to see, or the ability to see when another is attempting to sway you to forsake your own interests and to support theirs instead. You know, so that question is posed to each of us. You know, how persuasive are you? Do you have the ability or the capability to persuade others to help you meet your goal? If it ain't you, what about the next person? Next person, next person. What about your congressman? What about your president? What about people like Kayon West, the stars, or you know, who got that power? Who got that power? And who knows how to execute it? And then the next question is, when somebody is put in place to manipulate you into supporting their agenda, their interests, their cause, can you identify the game? You know, that's the question. Can you identify the game? Because if you can't, you're in trouble out here. I'm getting hungry. Yeah. What did I do with my popcorn? Here it is. Let's see how long I've been on here. Forever, I'm quite sure. Okay. Hope I don't choke. I don't choke. You gonna ding something on choking? I'm talking to my phone, y'all. What's going on? I gotta switch out my drinks. Okay. I'm not advertising. I'm just eating. Let's see. And it also says, still talking about 2021 messages, says those people that, those people that are cherry picked to be role models, to guide you, to support the powers that be, they are handpicked because of their abilities. They know what to do. They know how to do it. They know how to be persuasive. They know how to mirror the populace and get them to follow. They like the Pied Piper. Will you follow? Follow them where? To support the whatever reconstruction of our world construct they are supporting, whatever aspect. It says you have to be able to, you should be able to, at this time, discern the tactics that will be being used. That will be being used. 2021 and beyond. How do I talk about this concept? What kind of how do I talk about this concept? Why would someone knowingly accept a position knowing that they're going to mislead the people? Why would you or I or someone like ourselves forsake our own emotional needs in order to follow somebody else? Why? The answer to those two questions is the same. In 2021, there's master wizards, I'll say, magicians, that create illusions, sceneries, illusionary sceneries, imaginary worlds, that if you don't have discernment, you can't tell they're imaginary worlds. How can what can I think of a example now that exists now? Imaginary world. I'ma try my best to give you an example. We use Disney World as an example. Now, we all know that Disney World is a fantasy land. We know that. It's this thing, fantasy. But imagine a person that don't know that. Maybe coming from times past. So 500-600 years ago. From biblical times. And they're blindfolded and taken into one of Disney World's attractions. I've never been, but I heard that it's quite real. Real looking. Like, it's the Peter Pan scene or something. A Peter Pan movie or something like that. And you take that person from times past, blindfolded, into the scene, what they call of animatronics, elaborate artwork, technology, they would think Captain Hook, Peter Pan, or whoever it is was real. They would be interacting with them as if it was real. They would not know that they weren't real. It's an illusionary scene. There are some people that are so creative, so advanced, so aware, so conscious that they know how to create these type of scenes in our real world. In 2021, there are going to be new scenes constructed. Remember, they're imaginary, fantasy, but it's so elaborate. It's on such an advanced level that you and I will have a hard time discerning that it's pure fantasy. So the question is, why would a person accept the role and take on the responsibility and duties of the role, knowing one of the stipulations is that they got to mislead the masses? It's because they are also connived into believing that the fantasy world that they introduced to is real. How could that look in reality? Like, going back to Mr. Keon West, just using him as an example. Not the same thing that I'm saying is true, just using them as an example. Is maybe, remember, he's so special. It's just him the president want to talk to. It's just him that the president trusts. Give him a mission. Be a leader. Be a role model to the people. They'll follow you. And when they follow you, they follow and support my agenda. Just an example. I don't know if any of this is true. All I'm doing is interpreting the stars and using stuff that we all know of as an example. So, it's like, and Mr. West, you will always be known. People not going to just know you on the music circuit. They going to know you on the political circuit. And I'm going to introduce you to all these people. You going to be known. You ain't got to worry about your physical, worldly sense of security and stability at all. And I'm giving you heads up into the market where we're going to be gentrifying so you can invest and make you some more money. And you're going to live at your best life. You're going to always be famous. You're always going to be popular. You're going to have a heck of a legacy. All of these things are the fantasy world relative to Mr. West. I'm using as an example. It's just a fantasy. It's not real. Let me try to explain. We say, oh yeah, Nancy, it's real. Keon probably got a castle or a Rolls Royce or BM or Lamborghini, whatever he interested in. He got it. He got clothes. He traveled the world. And our reality is real. But in the spiritual world, see, all that talking I did, we ain't thought nothing about the spiritual world. It ain't real. When you die, you can't take it with you. It ain't real. So, that's his illusion. That's another reason why he does what he does. It satisfies it builds a scenery for him to live his best life and experience the satisfaction and fulfillment of his physical worldly wants, needs, and desires. Excuse me. I wouldn't meet out the popcorn. So, the other question is, why would a person forsake their own physical, their own emotional needs to follow somebody else? Why? It's the same answer. There is a illusionary scene that is created that is deceives the perceiver, you, me, whomever, will forsake their own personal emotional needs to follow somebody else. The perceiver will be deceived when they in that scene or experience that scene. Example, Kanye West tell me, follow me to, I don't know, some type of function. From where? Possibly in Washington. I might need to be home spending my money, time, and energy in planting a garden. I don't know. But I say, oh, Kanye West and invited me. Or my group I'm associated with. We going with him. We going to Washington as an example. I don't know. To do Black Lives Matter. I don't know. This is just a made up example. Fabrication. An illusion. So I follow him off there to wherever he invite me to. And it's that whole thing that I'm a part. That I'm there. I'm maybe 200 feet away from the president because I'm associated with Kanye West. Because he invited me to the Washington, for imaginary Black Lives Matter. I'm there. I'm in the scene, but it's not real. Nothing that takes place in those surroundings, in that setup, is going to benefit me. And guess what? I can't take it with me when I die. It's not real. So it talks about that as well in 2021. Forewarned is forearmed. What am I saying? There are going to be many new illusionary scenes created that will deceive the people. Oh, that makes sense. I'm going to read what I got here. It said the tactics that leaders or a leader plans to use are to create scenarios that enchant a person or people. Warning, the scenario is not real. That's what I just talked about. 2, make a person feel important. I talked about that a minute ago. Or indispensable. It's all a lie. (2021) These scenarios that are being created, these imaginary scenarios, and the role model that will be put before you, is all in order for one purpose and one intent only, that I can see thus far reading the energies for next year. And it is to cultivate blind followers and supporters. Social engineering. People that will uphold the new social construct. A clue to watch for. In order to know and be able to discern who the powers that be have cherry-picked and were elected to be role models, is to look at that person's ambition, their ambitious nature. It's all right to be ambitious, but at what cost? They talking about folks sacrificing their mamas and other family members and friends in order to move them forward in accomplishing their ambitions. So, person can be ambitious, but at what cost? It's saying, hey, people that's really, really ambitious, and is no bars hold for them. There's no boundaries to what they will do or will not do, and to achieve them goals and ambitions. Watch them. They can be bought off. Oh yeah. Making the nerves bad. when I was doing my research on these upcoming energies for 2021, not going on. My research ended up taking me literally into the field of magic. The field of magic. In 2021, it will be more beneficial to us to watch our powers that be and these role models that I speak of. Because again, my research took me literally into the field of magic. And it started talking about various magic tricks. And 3 of the magic tricks were card tricks. And it's called the sleight of hand, the double lift, and a stripper deck. I had to go back and finish researching them. And so it also, when I was reading, when I followed the breadcrumbs to these magic tricks, it was saying, well, it kept saying is, hey, each individual, you get good at what you do. And once you get good at it, you can kind of make it personal. You get the trick down, you get it seamless, and then you decorate it with your swagger or your luster. So, what am I saying? Is that, like the say example, the sleight of hands, a person may know how to do the trick. Now they the role model for you. They know sleight of hand trick, you can't catch them. But then they put their swagger on top of it. You never see it coming. You never see it coming. You never see it coming. Remember, the powers that be cherry pick or select these people because they have some type of abilities or magic. In this case, it's literally magic. They have some type of ability that they know how to manipulate well. They know how to manipulate this magic so well, they done personalized it. And they're going to be coming for us in 2021. The question is, will we be able to identify these people and who they are and their various tactics? Never forget. Future 2021. And I'm going to end on this, even though there's much more. Man, I ain't finished. Oh, yeah, it's over. Long-winded. I'm going to end on this. There's so much more. Maybe I'll come back later and do a little bit more study into this chart that you see here. And I printed it out. Something ain't real next month. Other people. Emotional responses to your demands. Fabrication. But be careful not to be misled next month either. Don't be misled. Don't give your authority over to someone else or something else next month. Open. There we go. You know what I do with it. Yeah. Don't give your authority over to something or someone else next month. Oh. Uh-oh. I would say this next month. Don't even next month. Don't give your power over to somebody else. You better be able to trust whomever you thinking about letting yourself be vulnerable to or around, no matter what it is. It's possible that somebody might be lying or trying to manipulate you next month. See, I'm kind of rushing. Next year, oh, we being trained. If I'm reading this in my rush quick, we being trained now. Remember, it is. I was saying, it appears to me what's happening now is a part of what is to unfold in 2021, a year from now. Right now, we being trained on an intimate level, but this is a us thing. This is a global thing. I was saying, hey, a lot of the difficulties that I have from reading the astrology is that I'm not just trying to read for the individual. I'm trying to read for the collective or from humanity. I think what I'm seeing here is truly this is an onset or a training period for each individual that's in our intimate life to practice the gift of discernment or practice the ability or skill of discernment. Discerning if a person or something is trustworthy, to allow yourself to be vulnerable with, to you know, like, because it's like somebody could be lying, creating the illusion that you want, you know, saying what you want, they saying what they believe you want to hear in order to manipulate you. You know, a level of cunningness or cleverness. They saying, whoever it is, saying what you want, they believe you want them to say so they can get you to line up with what they want. You know what I'm saying? But they really don't give a care about you. You know what I'm saying? Well, I can't say that. For most, they don't. But you got to make sure that you on the same plateau as whomever you doing business with, interacting with, engaging with. It's like even being a part of a social group. You got to make sure that y'all on the same wave. You know what I'm saying? That you real life, for instance, people been protesting. If you part of a protest group, you better make sure that you believe in what that group believe in, because you go out here and protest and get locked up or hurt, it's got to be worth it. You got to make that make sense. You know what I'm saying? So it's that kind of thing in a month, next month. And so we're being trained for like next year. You know what I'm saying? Right now, it's within your immediate environment. You're learning the lesson, a more intimate lesson. about, again, discernment of others' intent, and if you're going to forsake yourself for somebody else, or you're going to, hold on and to what your goal is, as far as being emotionally okay. Getting in tune will help you be emotionally okay. Trying to get to your higher self, so it's about not just you, but other people in humanity being trained. Next year, it goes global, something bigger. Can you see the bigger picture? Can you see the global game? The global chess game being played. Can you see the national chess game being played? Then am I making it make sense? Right now, you're being trained. Next year is when the big tests come. This is just little training quizzes and things like that. Hopefully that made sense. I'm going to let y'all go. Thank you for coming here to Can Angels Fly, Tarot, and more. I'm about to go. I'll probably be back later. Bye.